Number 1. On Sunday, February the 8th, 1981, a body of a man was found covered in a sleeping bag by Alfred Lake. The police couldn't find the victim's head. Whoever killed him then dumped his headless body in a public area, wanting him to be discovered. This gets even more disturbing though, as a chicken wing and 2 kernels of corn were jammed into the man's bloody neck. A corpse of a slaughtered chicken was also discovered only 50 yards away from where the body was discovered. The headless body was later identified by fingerprints as 29-year-old petty criminal Leroy Carter. It's believed that a sharp weapon such as an axe or a machete was used due to how clean he was decapitated. If finding a decapitated body wasn't strange enough, then it gets even more bizarre. It was believed that this could have been some kind of ritual killing, where it could have been some kind of human sacrifice. There's no connection though of Carter Jr. being part of some cult. Due to the nature of the case was eventually given to Sandy Gallant, who not long before handled the investigation of the Jonestown massacre in Guyana. Basically, she was the local expert on religious extremists. After talking to coroners and other top experts, it was believed that for the sacrifice to be completed, the head must be returned 42 days later at the place of where the body was discovered. The police never took this seriously. To them it was all a load of nonsense. Now this is when it gets even more messed up. 42 days later, the head was found in a bush near the crime scene. What really annoys me, if you get investigators to look into the case and you got top experts saying that it's possible to catch the killer because they're going to return to the scene, then surely you should have at least one person with surveillance on the lookout in the area. The crime is still unsolved. Number 2. Between 1964 to 1965, London once again had a serial killer on the loose. He seemed to have came out of nowhere, killing women and left their bodies to be found in a gruesome manner. All the victims were sex workers, where he would undress them and then dispose their bodies in or near the River Thames. The first known victim at the time was Hannah Telford, who was found in 1964. She had several teeth missing, and a killer stuffed her underwear down her mouth after he strangled her to death. It only took 2 months later before a second body of Irene Lockwood was discovered, not far from where Hannah was discovered. The police connected the 2 murders to one suspect, and also believe an earlier murder of Elizabeth Figg that was in 1959 was also connected. This is when they realised they had a serial killer. The media named the serial killer as Jack the Stripper. I wonder where they got the idea for that name. Just like other big media cases, you get the odd person claiming that they committed the murders, and this was no different. A local caretaker claimed he had killed Irene Lockwood, which the courts dismissed as the story didn't match up. Helen Barthelme's body was found the same month down an alleyway, where police believe they got the first piece of evidence. Flecks of paint that was used in car factories was found near the body, which police believe was connected to the killer's workplace. 3 months later, another body was found. Once again, there were flecks of paint near her body. Neighbours said they had heard a car reversing just before a body was discovered. The police got closer to their killer when on November 25th, Frances Brown's body was discovered down an alleyway. This time though, there was a witness. The witness saw what car she entered before she died and told the police what he looked like and what car he was driving. All in all, there were 6 victims and possibly another 2 that were connected to Jack the Stripper, and then it all stopped. It always makes me wonder on how the murders just seem to stop. Most serial killers seem to have this bloodthirsty drive in loving the feeling of killing, and also love this cat and mouse chase with the police. It's obvious the killer must have liked this excitement of being chased, because he hid the bodies in places that he would have been found. Let alone the killer just stops killing. It makes me wonder if the killer might have been put in jail for another crime, or maybe he died himself. Now I would have said that maybe the description of his connection to the Frances murder might have backed him off, but there was also another body after this that was discovered. She had been missing since January. The case has never been solved. Number 3. The unsolved murder of Bob Crane is still one of Hollywood's biggest mysteries. Bob was known for his popular radio show, where he worked with the likes of Marilyn Monroe. The radio show was the #1 morning show. He had charisma, the looks, and it wasn't long before Hollywood loved his clean-cut image and he got his big chance on TV, where he was known for his acting in the TV sitcom Hogan's Heroes, where he received 2 Primetime Emmy Awards nominations for his work on the sitcom. Well, on June 29, 1978, his career came to an end when Bob was discovered bludgeoned to death with a weapon that was never identified. He was murdered as he slept in his apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona. Someone must have came into Bob's apartment early that morning and beaten him over the head with a blunt object as he slept. Or it might have been someone he knew and they were there the whole time just waiting for the moment to attack. He was also found to have had an electrical cord that was tied around his neck. But why would anyone want to kill Bob Crane? He seemed to be so popular with everyone he met. It later came out that Bob lived a double life. Yes, he was this charming clean-cut man, but there was another side of him that some believe could have caused his death. He was a womanizer. He videotaped and took pictures of as many sexual encounters that he had with women. One person that he shared his videos with was John Carpenter, who was also a womanizer and loved living the lifestyle that Bob was able to provide for him. This led to police believing that John might have killed Bob if Bob decided to cut his friendship. Truth be told, because of Bob's lifestyle, there were so many people that might have killed him in either revenge or jealousy. It could have been a jealous ex-partner, it could have been a jealous husband of one of many Bob's exes, but the main suspect was John, and with very good reason. Let me explain. There was no forced entry which could indicate that the killer could have been a person that Bob knew. The motive couldn't have been robbery, because nothing of financial value was ever taken. On June 25th, Carpenter was known to have spent a few days with Bob before his death, but the big twist in this murder case is when investigators found blood in John Carpenter's rental car that he used. Now at the time, DNA testing was not as advanced as it is today, and the charges were later dropped. The case then went cold. That was until 1990 when a former homicide investigator re-examined evidence from 1978 and persuaded the county attorney to reopen the case. It was found that even though the blood matched the same type as Bob's, it was still found to be inconclusive to actually matching Bob's. Then the investigators found pictures that showed what he believed was brain tissue in the car. This was also admissible in court. In 1992, John was arrested for the murder of John Crane, but in 1994 he was acquitted for the murder and died 4 years later, taking the possible mystery on who killed Bob with him. The case to this day is still unsolved. Do you believe John committed the murder, or do you have another theory? Number 4. Imagine waking up knowing someone must have came into your house and cut your hair while you were sleeping. The year was 1942 in small town Pascagoula, when Mary Briggs and Edna Hiddell woke up to find their hair was cut. Later that week, whoever this person was, sneaked into windows of houses and snipped hair of 3 women. It's no wonder that a small town was in panic at the horrifying thought that someone is getting into your house, getting so close to you as you sleep, just to snip your hair. Who knows what else this person could do? The case became known as the Phantom Barber. Even the army at the time modified its blackouts because of the Phantom Barber, and this was during World War II, so that just shows you how serious they took it. A week later, the attacks became violent, as he sneaked into houses and beat Mr. and Mrs. Heidenberg and beat them with an iron bar. One victim said they felt someone pressing down on their face and then waking up to find 2 inches of their hair cut off. It's believed that maybe the Phantom Barber used a chloroform cloth and then cut off the hair. In total, whoever it was broke into 10 homes during the Reign of Terror. Number 5. Imagine walking through the woods to find a human skull just staring you in the face. During the dark days of World War II on 18th of April 1943, 4 local boys were hunting in Hagley Woods when they came to a large ancient wych elm tree. It seemed like an ideal place to hunt birds, so one of the boys climbed over the tree when he then saw a human skull. The discovery would baffle the police for over 70 years. The boys, now in total shock and fear, went home and told their parents of what they saw. When the police arrived, they found an almost whole skeleton with a shoe, a gold wedding ring, and some clothing. The hand, though, was removed and found further apart, suggesting that the person who killed her cut her hand off. Forensics later determined that it was a female that died about 18 months ago. Who was she though, and how did she die? Well, they found a section of cloth down her mouth, suggesting that she died from suffocation, but her body could not be identified. The police put out reports of what she might have looked like, but it was during the World War II, so there were so many reports of people going missing that the police were just overwhelmed. In 1994, the case took a mysterious twist when graffiti first appeared on the wall in Upper Dean Street in Birmingham. The message read, Who put Bella in the witch elm? More messages later came, written by the same person. Hagley Wood Bella. Was this a killer taunting the investigators? Did someone know more than they were letting on? From that day on, the woman found would be known as Bella, even by the police. Some believe that she could have been killed by a cult doing black magic, as her hand was removed, which was typical of a black magic execution. Some believing that she might have even been a spy, but just like all mysteries, there's a lot of guesswork, but someone out there knew the truth.